Welcome back to the channel, it's Metagear here, and we are here at Fuji International Speedway for the FIA Nations Cup first round of the new season, and we're in the GR Toyota Yaris. So we have managed to qualify third place, there we are, as the video just glitches there for a second, and I'm not going to make you sit through the entire opening grid, so we're going to get underway here. It's the start of the race, 13 lap race, mediums and hards required, and standing start from the grid with false start detection, and we're heading down to the first corner. We've got ourselves a good start, but we are on the outside, always a dangerous place to be in case someone goes for a dive up the inside. And you can see there we have Saint Nicole with the giant lunge into the first corner. So let's just have a quick look. We're riding on board with Saint Nicole here on the replay. We're going to see what happens. He just seems to, or he or she misses his braking point, and yeah, just dives in there. A little bit dirty, maybe. If it was a mistake, fair enough. I'm not sure if they apologized for that after the race in the chat, but didn't give the position back. And of course, with the new update to the game last week, we don't really have any penalties anymore. So as you can see, we've dropped down to 5th place. We've lost 2 positions off the start, and we're battling with Razor Eagle. And really important to get past this driver because he is a very dirty driver. I'll leave that to another video to show off what he was getting up to in these races, or you can go over and check out No This Is Jester on YouTube, because he had quite a few run-ins with Razor Eagle throughout these races. So, as you can see, we're in 4th place here, rounding out the first 2 sectors of the first lap and coming into the all-important 3rd sector here. This is a super important part of the track. You just really want to go through here single file, because if you battle through here, you're just going to lose so much time. And so we're just going to follow single file and try and lose the slipstream to the 2 behind us. We can see Hyperdrift there has a penalty, and Razor Eagle, he's always super slow through this last corner if he doesn't have a car there on the outside to run himself into and slow himself down. As you see, he ends up going wide, and Hyperdrift gets past. So we're going to look back here as we see Hyperdrift serves his penalty, and we have managed to break away this little group of 4 up at the front. So as we finish the first lap, we have Saint Nicole, Crunch, Fast Phil, and myself, Metagear, in 4th place, and these are going to be the main players in this race as we move forward. So we jump up here with Saint Nicole. They've managed to maintain 1st position through the first lap after their first corner lunge, and we are just a lovely little 4 group here that have broken away from the pack, and we're coming back on board with myself now as we go around the 180R, and you'll see that throughout this race I take a much tighter line than everyone else. Everyone else seems to drift out wide and hit the brakes a little bit, whereas I much prefer to really use the throttle control and kind of stick to the inside of the track. And you see just up ahead there that Crunch has managed to get past Saint Nicole going through, turn 4, and now Saint Nicole is going to be in the slipstream as we head down to the chicane. Are they going to be able to make a move back up the inside? No, not quite. Crunch is a bit later on the brakes and manages to maintain that position. So we come up to the 3rd sector here, and through this part of the track I can see that I just have a lot more pace than the 3 in front of me, and just really, it's very tempting to send one up the inside through these corners, but you just lose so much time battling. So even if you make 1 place, you end up falling out of the slipstream of the cars ahead. So just patience is the name of the game. We follow through, stay in the slipstream, and we're gonna follow Fast Phil here as he chases down Saint Nicole, and actually he is getting a really good run, and I think he is going to go for a move here. So let's have a look how this pans out. I'm just following behind, and we jump on board with myself as Fast Phil moves up the inside, and they jump on the brakes, and Fast Phil overshoots his braking mark. Saint Nicole is very cautious into that, and I send it up the inside, and look at that, we've managed to gain 2 positions in the 1 corner, so we're now up into 2nd and can set about chasing down Crunch. So just a little bit of interesting information about the Yaris. It is an all-wheel drive car, but the tire wear is definitely more in line with that of a FF car. So brake balance all the way to the rear for this race, at least for myself. I know some other people were doing +3, and but yeah, for myself, I really just wanted to conserve the front tires as much as possible, so I treated this like a FF car and moved the brake balance all the way to the rear. And just the way this car drives, it tends to have a lot of oversteer into the braking zones. As you can see here, we just gained a lot of time on the leader, and we're now right up behind him as we're going to follow through this third sector once again on board. But yeah, as I was saying, this car is quite unstable under braking, and you really needed to be gentle with the brakes, which actually it has been a dynamic of the Thrustmaster wheel that I've been using is that the braking is really good, and on any of these tracks where tire wear is a huge issue, I've found myself just having a really good advantage over the pack. So we're going to speed up here as we're finishing the third lap, moving into the fourth lap. We're in the slipstream of Crunch. He goes to the inside to defend, and he then moves over, squeezes me right over to the edge of the track. Hard racing, but fair, and he managed to gets it slowed down, gets onto the apex, so I can't make the cut back. So fair play to Crunch. He defended that position well, and now we are starting the fourth lap, and we have to try and have another go at getting into the lead, because we've pulled out a little bit of a gap to third and fourth now, and I can just tell from how things are going that I just have much more pace. So as we come out of turn 4 here, we've got a really good exit. We're up in the slipstream of Crunch, and we're going to get here onto the inside as we come down towards the chicane. He doesn't defend the position, and we get on the brakes and manage to make the move stick nice and cleanly. And so my friend Chris, he actually says, whenever I tell him about Gran Turismo, he says this is more like a tire simulator game than a racing game. And here we're going to show, if you look in the bottom left corner, just the difference in the tire wear between the top four, and you can see that I've managed to keep my tires in much better position. And so I don't know what brake bias they were running, and actually you see that Crunch has come into the pits at the end of lap 4, which is what I thought was much too early. I thought maybe even he is going for a two-stop strategy because he's unaware of the updates, which made the pit lane loss so much greater. So it's hammer time, and we're going to do a little bit of a track guide here. So we look for the 150 meter board, brake a little bit after that, get it down into second gear for extra rotation, turned in onto the apex early on the throttle as we move down towards turn 2, the quick left-hander. We're going to shift at 75% up into fifth gear momentarily, brake down onto fourth. You kind of want to float the car in there. It oversteers a little bit on the entry, and then stick to the right hand side of the track. We fevel the throttle, try to keep it above 150 kilometers per hour, and then we want to brake nice and early before the 50 meter board, get the car turned in down into third early on the accelerator as we exit along this small back straight. And once again, we want to try and stick to the inside of the track as much as possible. Just clip the apex there before drifting out wide. Jump onto the brakes as we go under the Dunlop sign, down into second gear, rotate the car through the chicane, get it straightened up, a little blip of the throttle there as we shift up into third gear, and then into this very technical final sector. So once again, get it turned in nice and early onto the throttle, and then these long final two corners, so technical. It just seems like an age that you're waiting for the car to turn before you can jump on the throttle. Especially this last one here, you can see we're off the throttle, and only now do we finally get on it for a nice late apex. And there we have the lap as we go through to complete it. And we're just going to have a look at the times here. So in practice, I kind of set a goal for myself that if we dropped below a minute 52.8, that's the time when we need to come in. So at the end of lap 5, we did a 52.2. Now we jump ahead to the end of lap 6, we do a 52.8. So actually that would have been the most perfect time to stop. And you can see that Fastfield, he is into the pits, St. Nicole is into the pits. No, this is Jester, so everyone seemingly choosing to pit there on lap 7, and I actually decided to go an extra lap, which in retrospect I think was a little bit of a mistake, because I'm just going to start to lose so much time here as we jump ahead. You can already see I'm down 1.2 seconds. We go deep into the chicane. That really messes us up for the exit of the chicane, and then into the final sector of the lap, and we're just going to really struggle from here onto the throttle much later than we have been on the previous laps, and then go too deep for the second to last turn. We actually have to drop down into second gear. Just really messy driving here. We're gonna hope that it doesn't cost us too much time, and once again down into second, and I make an absolute mess of this last corner. So we're gonna get these medium tires off. Finally we come into the pits, switch on over to the hards, and I've only done a few laps of practice on the hards. So as we come out of the pits, do we have the position still? No, here comes Crunch Roll, and he just gets past, but he actually runs a little bit deep there, and this gives us the opportunity to cut back up the inside, but no, he gets onto the throttle earlier, and he's able to get back ahead of us. So we've lost the lead of the race. We're down in 5th right now, but the 3 up ahead of us still haven't pitted, so we're effectively in 2nd place, but the one advantage is that we have tires which are 3 laps fresher than Crunch's, and you can see his tires are already starting to fade, whereas we are nice and fresh. So once again, and you can see that he's just braking so early there, and we're right up into the slipstream already. We are going to have another go at passing him down into the chicane like we did on lap 4. It's take 2 here. Can we make the move once again? We're going to jump up to the inside, but no, this time he defends a little bit late, but fair once again. A little bit of contact there as we go through the chicane, but thankfully no penalties. And as we ride on board, you can take a look in my mirrors and say that Fast Phil has caught right back up, so he's going to be in my slipstream as we move into the 9th lap. So we've gone defensively around the inside line, he moves back onto the racing line, tries to go around the outside, but we get the car slowed down and manage to hold onto position. He's going to have the better run coming out of the first turn though. As we come down to turn 2, he once again just looks up the inside there, but isn't close enough, has to tuck back behind us and follow through single file. So we managed to defend the position, and we've unfortunately fallen a little bit back behind Crunch, so we need to try and jump back up as we go through the 180R. We're usually much quicker through there, and then down here into turn 4, and we'll ride on board once again as we exit turn 4. And can we get into the slipstream as we run down towards the chicane to make another move? No, this time we're just a little bit too far back to make any kind of move. And as we break down here for the chicane, you can see that Crunch is very slow through there, and we just gain a lot of time. So I'm thinking right now that I have a great chance to win this race, so we're just going to jump ahead here to the last corner as we follow Crunch, and you can see Dr. Davros, who just takes a very peculiar line as he comes out of the exit, and we're going to speed things up as we come down the main straight. We're in the slipstream. Crunch goes to the inside to defend, but we have the much better tires. We're later on the brakes, and we get up ahead into second place, which will become the lead of the race when Dr. Davros finally comes into the pits. And you can see Dr. Davros is really struggling with his tires. So for me, what I'm thinking now is I need to try and get up ahead of him before the final sector of the lap. So we're going to ride on board as we go around the 180R, and you can see how much time we're gaining, just hand over fist, catching up. But are we going to be close enough to get a run down towards the chicane? It looks like we're going to be, but actually Dr. Davros, to his credit, gets a really good exit, and although we're in the slipstream, we're just a little bit too far away. We could try and go for a lunge here, but that's not what we're all about on this channel. We're going to drive it cleanly as we always do. So get onto the brakes, and you can see that he's going very slow through there, so we're going to cut back to the inside and then through the inside here as we come up to this right-hander, and we manage to make the move. It's a good move, but there in the mirrors we can see Crunch, he pushes his way through as well, so we don't get the advantage of getting through this final sector without Davros there behind holding up Crunch, which means that Crunch is going to have an excellent chance to once again get back into the lead, as he will have our slipstream. And I think Davros just went wide there again. He's really struggling on his 10 lap old tires. So as we go down the main straight here, I'm going to move over to the right, over to the left, just trying to break the slipstream a little bit. Finally, we're going to go over to the right hand side to defend the inside line into the corner. Crunch is staying in our slipstream. He's a little bit too far back. He moves over back to the racing line. I see that, so I see that he's not close enough to make a move. I move over as well, but in doing so, I overshoot the first corner just a little bit too much, and that actually gains him a lot of time. So now he has a run up here into turn 2, so I go once again defensively onto the inside. He isn't able to go around the outside, and we managed to maintain the position. And now as we go around 180R, this I think is where I should have a much quicker line, as he will be struggling on his tires compared to us, because we pitted, of course, 3 laps later than him. So as we come through turn 4 and exit out of there, it looks like we've just managed to break out of the slipstream, so we're going to cut ahead here to the final lap, and you can see that we've actually pulled out a small gap, and now Crunch and Phil are battling for second position, and Phil has the inside line. He is able to move up into second place, so Crunch's decision to pit on lap 4 coming back to hurt him in the end, and will he be able to get back past up into second? No, it looks like Fast Phil is going to defend the position. So as we stand on the final lap, it's first place me, Metagear, second place Fast Phil, third place Crunch, and then Saint Nicole in fourth place, who was our leader for the first few laps of the race. And so we're going to just jump ahead here to the final corner, and we round there. You can see in the background they're still battling in my mirrors, but we have got the race victory. This is my first FIA race win, my first race in Australian region, and of course I am super happy as we cross the line and shake the checkered flag. So thanks for watching, guys. It has once again been a pleasure to bring you these races, and if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you're interested in watching more, please hit the subscribe, and we'll join you next time. Peace out.